What is up, RPS? We are back for another sexy little 10-gamer MLB. We got our boy Shohei Ohtani on the mound. DC's going to bitch about him not being a hitter. I agree with that take. We got Title. DC, how are you all doing? Title, I'll start with you. What do you think about the slate overall? Are we going to ship? Probably. What are you thinking?
My man, Kurt, it's just good to be on a show with you. First show ever with you, Kurt, talking baseball, 10 games, talking with DC. It's over 90 here in Arizona. Already was out by the pool, getting some rays. I mean, it's a beautiful day. Baseball going on. NBA playoffs start tonight, include playing. That's the playoffs. A lot of money to be made. Excited to talk some baseball with you boys the next hour.
Facts. DC, how we feeling?
Things are good, man. Yeah, 85 here in Denver, so got some sun today. Face looking a little sunburned, but hey, I'll take it to get the nice Colorado sunshine. Really fun slate. It's actually pretty warm, I think, in almost every game on this slate. A lot of winds blowing out. I think we'll see some high-scoring games for sure, and I think some pretty easily identifiable chalk too. We've got Coors Field, obviously. Cardinals in a pretty great spot. A team total approaching 7 already. You almost never see that, here in the early middle parts of April. And then I think 3 or 4 pitchers who are going to take up the vast majority of ownership tonight. So anytime you get a big 10-game slate like this with a lot of good offenses, and you can kind of identify where the chalk will be, certainly makes for an interesting slate. Deciding if you want to ride with that or try to find maybe a different way to the top. So, yeah, really excited for the slate tonight.
I like it. So when I woke up, I was like, with some of the warmer weather and stuff, I told myself I'm not going to go heavy on the chalk hitters. So I'm going to stick by that rule. That was the first thing I told myself when I looked at it this morning. I'm going to stick with that because I think there's going to be a lot of high scoring. I just don't think there's a need to play the chalk as much. So that's what I'll do. And then since y'all were freaking talking about getting sun and stuff, I went to the beach today. Okay, I'm not going to be left out. I was at the beach, a little 8-minute drive, came back, ready to go. So
I can tell you got some sun too. I love it.
Yeah, I got you all victory laughing. I was like, hey, I was in the sun today too. But let's get into it with some pitchers. DC, the pitching god. I'll start with you. But before we get to it, guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, all those free shows. I wanted to dig into one thing. We know we got some little side issues going on right now. Okay, little stuff happens. Okay, when a company's going to the moon like we are. I will say that when adversity hits like this, we tend to have pretty good fucking days. So when adversity hits RPS, just know that us and the members, like the coordinators, the members are going to have a good night. And why not be you? Okay, free show, guys. Let's get it going. DC, talk about. Oh, thank you, K-Fat. I mean, it's probably because I'm on crack, but big deal. DC, talk about the pitchers for us.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start all the way up top today. We're not always playing the highest, price pitchers. Definitely willing to go cheaper at pitcher when the slate dictates, or if there's guys that I believe in that are cheaper. And there are some guys that are cheaper today that I do think could or will have good games. But, I mean, arguably the 2 best starters in baseball are 2 of the top 5 for sure, no question. You want to throw Garrett Cole in there. I think that's certainly viable. But Jacob DeGrom, Shohei Ohtani up top here. DeGrom's obviously been injured for a good portion of the last 2 or 3 years, but looks fully healthy right now. He's a full go coming off an 11 strikeout game against Baltimore where he got up to 92 pitches, 6 innings, and we've seen runs like this before where he just strikes out. It's like 10 to 15 guys like every start for however long he can stay healthy. We'll see on that part. But for tonight against a KC team that's, I don't know, I think for sure been a bottom 5 offense. They just don't really have much there. You got to love DeGrom. You got to expect him to pitch well. I think the floor is very, very high for him. He had that hiccup the first game, but I'll just kind of write that one off. And the ceiling is just enormous with DeGrom. I mean, the ceiling is, 7 or 8 innings and 15 strikeouts, and you have to have him on your lineup. Nobody's going to miss that. He's going to be super, super popular on this slate for good reason. I don't really know what more to say about DeGrom. I mean, you just got to expect full dominance. And if you're willing to eat the chalk, you're probably going to get rewarded. I mean, he'll be 40% owned or something like that, I think. I personally think he succeeds and puts up 25 plus more than 40% of the time in this matchup. So if you want to look at it that way, I do think it's pretty good chalk. Say the same thing about Ohtani. He's made some changes this year. A new sweeper, kind of the new pitch that's kind of taking over baseball right now. That's been effective for a lot of pitchers. A couple more guys will talk about that pitch as well. But he's jumped up in a lot of pitching models that kind of just rate the pure stuff of a pitcher. He was always kind of in that 10 to 15 range. They've got most of the models now have DeGrom and Ohtani as the two best pure stuff pitchers in all of baseball with the changes that Ohtani has made. So you get the two guys on the same slate. You have a 10-game slate where prices are still adjusting. I mean, there's plenty of value on this slate at every position. You can easily fit these guys. I mean, you can fit DeGrom, Ohtani, 5 Cardinals, and then 3 value bats if you want to. Like, that's a pretty tempting way to build title. I know you're a cash game build. I'm guessing that might be something what a cash game lineup might look like today. It's hard to argue against it, but if everyone, if it's that easy to do, a lot of people are going to do it. So just know that going in. But I certainly like both DeGrom and Ohtani. I'll have plenty of both. And I think they are a clear, like, not even one tier, like 2 or 3 tiers above every other pitcher on this slate. We'll get to some cheaper guys too, but those two do stand out for me by far above the rest.
I like that. So I was victory lapping DC, but title, slouch when it comes to pitchers. So you got anything different? I mean, I know you're from Milwaukee area, so is Corbin Burns just going to be terrible all year, or is I know it's not as good a matchup as the other guys, but I mean, God, might be a buy low spot. What are you thinking?
Yeah, man, I need to see him get right first. I'm a little nervous about him. Velocity's still there, but Jacob deGrom, I'm just lacking and loaded him. Tournaments, cash games. Been doing it since he was with the Mets and when he was healthy. He looks healthy now. The 92 pitches. It's definitely good to see. I'm not worried about his leash. He's SP1 for me. I'll eat the chalk there. Pitching's a lot more predictable in baseball than hitting. Like, you open the show saying, I'll fade the chalk hitting and I assume play probably the chalk pitching. I'm in agreements with you there. I love Coors Field. I love the Cardinals, love all that. But, man, I don't see too many options to get away from the chalk pitching, whereas hitting, we got 10 games. We have a lot of good weather across the country. I think we can see other teams match the Cardinals or put up bigger runs or more runs than him. So, yeah, I'm more so on eat chalk at pitching, get a little different at bats. DeGrom, SP1, no doubt for me. Yeah, I like Ohtani. The 3 guys that people are going to play, DeGrom, Ohtani, and Alek Manoah. Manoah's priced at 7.7K. Good matchup against the Tigers. Yeah, I don't mind it. I like going the Ohtani DeGrom route. Salary's no issue on this slate. I'm not playing the Cardinals. You can even play like Ohtani, DeGrom, and if you even want to play the Dodgers, or that's an expensive stack that comes to mind. They're going to be really low owned. But even if you want to play an expensive stack, you can get it because Ohtani, DeGrom, these guys should be priced at 11K. DraftKings has not done a good job with the pitching. So, yeah, I like paying up. Manoah would be the fade if I have to pick one. And, I mean, his first game was rough. Last game he pitched well. But I like the upside of DeGrom, Ohtani more. If I go down in the range of Manoah, I'll go to Pablo Lopez. The dude's just been – his upside is massive. Tougher matchup against the White Sox. They do have more power. Tim Anderson went to the IL, which is nice. But, man, he looks real good. We were doing best ball shows early in the year. I have a bunch of Pablo Lopez. I'll keep riding that train with the upside at 7.3. So, yeah, really just DeGrom, Ohtani, Pablo Lopez for me. Of course, if you like Manoah, you can play him. And then if DC, I guess, can talk me into anyone else, I might add them. But really, those 3 is what I'm seeing. Keep the pitching pool tight, and there's a lot of hitting options today.
Yeah, so for MME type stuff, DC, say if you're going 150 today, who are you putting in there? Are you just keeping it super tight with the pitchers?
It's a tight pull for me today, but I do have a couple more guys I want to talk about. So obviously DeGrom, Ohtani up top. If you want to get really different but still have upside on a super talented pitcher, Dustin May looks like he's going to come in, I think, below 5% ownership. He's been very sharp through 2 starts. The strikeouts haven't quite been there, and the swinging strike rate is still kind of low. But he is a pitcher that's throwing, 97 to 100 miles per hour. Very, very talented dude. And he gets a Giants team that has had some pretty good offensive performances. But one of the ways the Giants have been doing it, it looks like they're kind of selling out for patience. They're trying to wait for their pitch, taking a lot of strikes that they can't hit. So I think May has a chance. He's a guy who can pound the strike zone with a couple different fastballs, get ahead of these hitters, and he's got some decent pitches to potentially put him away. So I do think May is kind of the guy for me that even if DeGrom and Ohtani smash, I could potentially see May probably, he's not going to get, I don't think, double-digit strikeouts, but 6-7 scoreless innings with 7 or 8 strikeouts, I think is very much within the realm of possibility. Plus the win, you could see May getting 25, 30 points. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And like I said, he's going to be very, 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 very low owned. And like Title said, pitching is predictable or fairly predictable among the top end when it comes to MLB, but shit still happens, right? We'll see Ohtani and DeGrom give up, score 15 to 20 fantasy points. Plenty throughout the year. It's not what I expect tonight, but it does happen. I think May could do it. So I do like him, admittedly, partly just due to kind of the low ownership and the leverage you get there. Manoah is going to be very popular. I actually wouldn't be shocked if he came in as the highest owned pitcher on DraftKings. People see the Tigers matchup, which I totally get. They're a brutal, brutal offense, but I do have concerns about Manoah this year. Swing and strike rate's been pretty low these first 2 starts. Strikeouts haven't been there. And they moved the fences in Toronto as well, which is going to hurt him, I think. I don't know. Like, if it wasn't for I wish he had a little bit of a tougher matchup, although obviously it wouldn't be so popular. But, yeah, Manoah for me is kind of the fade. I do prefer Pablo Lopez straight up over Alek Manoah tonight for sure. He'll be popular too, but I do think he'll be lower owned than Manoah is. The Twins went out, I think, and specifically targeted Pablo Lopez in that trade. They gave up Luis Arias, a kind of a fan favorite for the Twins, to get Pablo Lopez. Immediately changed his pitch mix. He has a new slider this year that I think he's thrown it like 44 times, and he's gotten whiffs, some crazy amount. Like 72% of the time he's thrown the pitch. Just been extremely effective for him. It's a brand new pitch. He's never thrown it prior to this year. He did have pretty good matchups in those 2 games, but he's got a pretty good one here too. No Tim Anderson for the White Sox. No Eloy Jimenez, both guys on the IL. I mean, that bottom of the White Sox lineup, Berger, Colas, Romy Gonzalez, Elvis Andrews, it's not real great. It's just not a great lineup in general. So I think Pablo Lopez could approach double-digit strikeouts here. I really, really like him at 7,300. He will have ownership, but he's for me, those are the 3 guys that I really want: DeGrom, Ohtani, Lopez. I'll mix in some Dustin May. I'm fading Manoah. I get why people are playing him, but I just think he's going to be over-owned for what I think his upside is, despite the good matchup. And then I do have really just one more guy, probably for sure sub 5%, maybe even lower than that. But Josiah Gray, all the way down at 6,200 against the Angels. Angels have a pretty monster team total today, said between 5.5 and 6. Absolutely nobody's going to play Josiah Gray, but he's always been a talented guy, a guy that can get strikeouts when he's on his game. The first 2 starts of the year for him were against the Braves and in Coors Field. So about as tough as it gets for matchups in those first 2 games. And he held his own, frankly, especially in that Coors Field start. He's made, it looks like, some very, very significant changes this year that he needed to make. His problem the last 2 or 3 years with the Nationals, way too many home run balls. Most of those came on his 4-seam fastball, which he's reduced the usage of that from like a 40% pitch down to 10 or 15%, replaced it with his 2 breaking balls, curveball and slider, both of which miss a ton of bats. He was kind of a high strikeout guy anyway. So you look at this Angels lineup, yes, they could absolutely blast Josiah Gray, but there are a lot of strikeouts in this lineup. I mean, even Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, as good as they are at hitting, they both have above average strikeout rates. And then you go down from there, guys like Renfroe, Jake Lamb, Ohapi, the catcher, even Taylor Ward up top against righties. Listen, I think Josiah Gray does have significant strikeout upside in this matchup. Only 60, 65 degrees in LA. If he can keep the ball in the park, I think he's got a chance to put up a pretty decent score at, the second lowest price tag of any pitcher on the slate. Nobody's going to have him. I'll have a decent portion of Josiah Gray in my lineups. If you're the type that's going to, tilt your ass off if he gets lit up at 2% ownership, maybe not for you. There are plenty of good options like we outlined, but I do think he has some tournament winning upside given his price on this particular day.
I got one more for you, DC, before you take it, Kurt. DC, you got the hat on. Kyle Wright making his first start of the year through 84 pitches in his rehab. So, I'm not too concerned about the length. I mean, you look at this K prop. I think it'll be sub 10%, kind of by Ohtani. Like if you go, because I'm locking in DeGrom. If you go like a DeGrom right, you get different that way. 6.5 K prop. There's some juice on the under, whereas Ohtani's 7.5 at pretty much even money. Looking at numbers and ownership, yes, no. Can you talk me into it?
Yeah, he would be the next guy, honestly. I have him behind Dustin May right there at that same kind of price point. And just May has looked so good through these two starts that I don't think I really want to play both together on this slate. And I do have May over Wright. He had a cortisone shot like right before spring training started, kind of had a slow start to the year. Didn't look super great. It seemed like he was going to kind of get back in time to start the year, but he wasn't quite ready. They started him on the IL, and then even in his last in his spring training warm-up start, got hit around a little bit. Reportedly, the velocity was down on all of the pitches, so it was just I don't know. I mean, the matchup is really good for him, obviously against the Reds, and it does seem like the market Vegas likes him a little bit. The Reds team total sitting pretty low. He's a pitcher I definitely like in general. I just have some concerns about him when I really don't have any about Dustin May at that same price point. And I don't think DeGrom and Ohtani are going to like disappoint to a significant degree, where I think it's going to be tough, I think, for Kyle Wright to kind of compete with those guys when you don't really even get a discount, right, going to Kyle Wright. So I get the play. If I was playing, I'm playing like 20 lineups tonight. He's close to getting on a team or two, but ultimately didn't make the cut for me.
Appreciate it. Makes sense.
Yeah, so more of like the 150 guys, because it's.
If I had 150, I would definitely have some exposure to Kyle Wright for sure.
Yeah. I'm throwing in Josiah Gray too. I'm 1 for 1 on him. Like I had one where he did great per value, and then I had one day where he got blasted for like 5 home runs. So I'll throw him in the pool though, like that. Have you guys been going game by game or hitter? I personally like going game by game, but have y'all been
game by game? Game by game, yep.
All right, let's go right into. I'm going to Sabres order, so we're gonna go Tigers, Toronto, title. What do you see in here?
Definitely not playing the Tigers, even though I'm not playing Manoah. It's a 10-game slate. I don't think getting leverage is worth it doing that on a type of slate like that. So that's the easy fade. Toronto's interesting though, of course. I mean, one of the higher team totals on the slate. If you're playing pretty much anyone but the Cardinals, they're not going to be low owned by any means, but they're going to be a significantly lower owned than the Cardinals. And I'm playing DeGrom, who's the chalk pitcher, maybe playing Ohtani. I still could. I play the 121 most times at the tournament I play than cash games. I'm considering a Kyle Wright, but even if I go like Ohtani, DeGrom, I'm not playing the Cardinals with them. So Toronto could be a team I come to. Matt Manning, he definitely struggles against lefties. And you look at this Toronto lineup, I love Dalton Varsho at 4K. They got Brandon Belt, first base, 2-3. Biggio's 2-1. Kevin Kiermaier, I don't mind always going to the 9-hole, do a little wraparound that way. Like the lefties right there are cheap. And then you can fill it in if you want to play a Vlad right there. If you want to go Kirk in the middle of those lefties, since they mainly are at the bottom of the order, easily can go to Ohtani, DeGrom, 5-man Toronto. You have enough for a 3-man elsewhere. So definitely like the lefties against Matt Manning. He is tougher against righties, but yeah, I'll maybe go. Dalton Varsho is definitely my favorite in the 4-hole. Probably would go Belt. I'd be fine if I didn't get a Kiermaier, Biggio. If Sabre spits it out, sure. If not, but then yeah, Kirk, Vlad. Definitely like Toronto 1 through 9 in this spot. Prefer the lefties though.
Okay, yeah, this is my honestly. Toronto's my favorite stack. I'll go ahead and say it. Don't know if we get that at the end, but
okay. Yeah, say it.
I mean, it's just too easy, man. And the fact that they're not going to be chalk is just even better. DC, are you with us? Are you going to jam some Detroit?
You got to love Toronto against Matt Manning. Just not any good. I believe this is Toronto's home opener. I think they're the last team. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's right. But anyway, I don't know. I give a little boost if that is indeed true. But yeah, regardless, I think I talked about it. When talking about Manoah. But Toronto specifically moved their fences in to kind of benefit the core lineup here. Bichette, Guerrero, now Varsho. Matt Chapman is off to an incredible start. Obviously got Springer there. For whatever reason, when I play Toronto, I usually do the full-on 5-man stack. It seems like they're kind of a contagious team where if they really get going, they just punish teams. And they continue. You see some teams that kind of dial it back in the later innings when they've got 6 or 7 runs. Toronto pours it on when they get a chance. Just kind of think it's the makeup of the team, a little bit younger. So I do like stacking them, just the full on. Give me the studs, right? 1 through 5. I don't necessarily need to get super cute with Toronto if I'm going that direction. I think they're a great option tonight if you want to get a little bit away from the chalk, but let's face it, they've got the same upside that the Cardinals do, right? They can easily put up 13 runs. So, yeah, I love Toronto. I actually will have some pretty decent exposure to the 2 outfielders at the top of the Tigers lineup. Our old friend Akil Baddoo, he looks like he might have figured out a little something this year, was absolutely raking the cover off the ball in AAA. They called him up. He's only played a couple games, but there are some pretty promising signs with Baddoo. Lefties much better against Manoah, and with the changes to the fences in Toronto, this is going to be a very friendly ballpark for left-handed hitters. I think Baddoo and Riley Green, another young stud hitter, could potentially put some hurting on Alek Manoah. It's the first game of the slate. Always nice to get a little 14 spot in your lineup on the first batter of the game against maybe the chalkiest pitcher on the slate, 2,500 for Baddoo. I really like him. Green, and then I will have a team or two with an all-Detroit outfield of Baddoo, Green, and Kerry Carpenter, 3K hitting cleanup. Like I said, I've got some qualms, question marks about Manoah. Good ballpark to hit in. And listen, it's massive leverage, right? Against a pitcher that we know is going to be super popular. He's not as good against lefties. Yeah, I've obviously spent a portion of the day talking myself into these Tiger scrubs. I'm sure I'll be tilting when Manoah mows him down in the first inning and has 3 strikeouts. But hey, I'll have some exposure for sure.
I like it because it's leverage off Manoah. I'm with it. I'll play some in the 150. But before we continue, guys, can we?
Not Kurt into any play. He's on the Tiger scrub.
Come later, I'll be lower. But
I'm gonna throw in just some horrendous plays and see if you'll follow me on those.
Well, I like Toronto. I like them because remember, was it 2 or 3, maybe 4 years ago? Like you full stacked them just like Minnesota, like 4 or 5 years ago, when they would just fucking put up like 18 plus runs out of nowhere. You remember that? Was that 2, 3? How long ago was that?
They did it last year too. They've done it.
Oh god, there was 1 year where once or twice a week they were just going for like 15 runs. It felt like, but that's how.
Maybe that was Troy Tulowitzki in the back of their order a couple of years ago. He was the reason.
Oh god, no! Oh no, it wasn't that.
I love that name. Troy Tulowitzki used to be one of my favorite players. Not when he was on Toronto, when he was on the Rockies.
Yeah. No, I was talking about Minnesota. When was it from Minnesota? But anyways, I'll shut up now. Let's get some more takes. We're going to San Diego, New York. Title, what do you like in here?
I can definitely get behind some of these Mets. I do not think Ryan Weathers is any good. Doesn't miss any bats. This Mets lineup is good. Very good. I like this lineup top to bottom, and they're going to be one of the lower owned stacks that I actually have some interest in today. Don't love the park, but man, it's 70 degrees. Wind's blowing out a little bit. If I am playing the Mets, though, I'm definitely playing Peter Alonso. Dude's an absolute stud. Probably would go Lindor. Probably would. I'm fine going to the bottom if you want. Peter Alonso would definitely be in that lineup, though. I just don't think Weathers is great, to be honest. Doesn't miss bats. I like this Mets order. Decent hitting weather. Padres like a 150. If you're playing 150, most people aren't. I'm not going to recommend the Padres because I do not play 150 at all. But Peterson does have his struggles as well. He can walk a lot. He can definitely blow up. But like I said, if you're only making a couple lineups, probably wouldn't get there myself. Mets, definitely sign me up, and I hope DC's on board.
So I hope DC's on board so I can shove it to him and tell him I don't love anyone in this game. So DC, what do you like so I can say I hate them all?
Yeah, I kind of like both offenses a little bit here. I do prefer the Mets side a little bit. Pete Alonso, I'm going to have one lineup today that's like Lopez, Josiah Gray, and then, the 8 hitters that I think are most likely to hit a dong or two and try to win one that way, which I've certainly done before. Pete Alonso will probably make that lineup, although he'll have to compete with Goldschmidt, of course, for that first base spot. But yeah, like the Mets, that trio, that 2-3-4, Marte, Lindor, Alonso, it's very expensive. but I think they could do some serious damage against Weathers.
I like 2%, like 2% owned, which sign me up for that.
For sure. Padres side is interesting too. I mean, David Peterson's an okay pitcher, but 15-mile-per-hour winds out to center field, 70 degrees. This is going to play more like a hitter's park than it typically does. Peterson has control issues at times, and this is still a pretty good Padres lineup, at least at the top of it. I absolutely think you can stack Bogarts, Machado, Soto, and then Nelson Cruz. Going to make my one-off list tonight for sure. Had his vision corrected in the offseason and has started off this year pretty well. I mean, there's a reason that the Padres are hitting them cleanup tonight. Probably like the most historic lefty masher of them all, right? He just has destroyed lefties for like 15 years now. And I know he's like 42 years old, but it does still seem like he's got a little something left in the tank, at least early on in the year when he's feeling good, feeling healthy. I think he's going to take David Peterson deep today. So 4,600 for Cruz. No one's going to want to pay that. But, I'll be excited when he comes up to bat. He's on my team at 2% ownership. So, give me some Cruz. And, if you want to stack this team, I think I would skip Cronenworth in that 5 spot and go to Ha-Seong Kim, 2,700, another favorite one-off of mine on this slate. So, like a lot of these offenses, I mean, there's a lot of good ones, right? There's only really the pitchers that we like are the offenses kind of out of play. So it's just one of those slates where we're definitely going to see some runs. I think they're going to be coming fast and furious to kick off this slate.
Yeah, so I understand the plays, but I don't like anyone in this one. So this will be the first one where I say there's a lot of talent here. So
on board.
Just because you said that last time, DC, now he's got to be contrarian.
No, honest to God, I didn't like this game. I'll be honest.
Fair enough. Hey, got to fade some.
All right, so we got to address 2 things in the chat. Title, what the hell are you eating? And yes, this is a green screen. So we addressed that, but title, what are you eating? Because it's a hot commodity in chat.
I'm eating a smoothie. And Holden said with the spoon, it's a little too thick to do it with the straw. So eating a smoothie with a spoon, Holden.
That's like sitting down to pee.
I mean, if I need to be on my phone for 10 minutes and I'll sit down, I'll piss, and then just sit down and stay there. So sure, I've done that plenty of times too.
What do I like? I like eating ass, Joey. That's what I like. All right. Next up, we got everyone's favorite team. Apparently, my Twitter timeline, everyone's a Braves fan. DC's even got the hat. So America's team now. Braves and the Reds. DC, I'll start with you since you got the hat on. What are we seeing here?
Yeah, we talked about Kyle Wright. Don't know exactly what to expect from him. Not going to play him, but not going to play the Reds either. So that part, just kind of can't play everybody, kind of a write-off for me. But yeah, the Braves, I mean, you guys know me. I'm on board with the Braves. Luis Sessa, not really any good. And then, you have a Braves lineup that there are a lot of right-handed bats in there, and it is a little weaker. No Michael Harris in the lineup tonight, obviously injured. But, yeah, they should still do damage here. And Sessa does have, it looks like some significant reverse splits where the right-handed bats, Cunha, Riley, Murphy, those top 4 are really the guys I'm focused on. I think, Rosario 2,300 hitting 5th. I guess it's kind of hard to leave him off if you're going to the Braves, but hasn't looked super great. But yeah, I like the Braves, mostly the top of the lineup. Probably wouldn't go crazy with the bottom of it on this particular slate, but yeah, I mean, that's about as good as it gets for a top 4. Sessa's not any good, and the Reds bullpen is like really, really bad. They've got one good pitcher. He's their closer. He's obviously not going to pitch in this game if the Braves do any damage anyway. So, yeah, this is a team that I don't like the Blue Jays. You will see the Braves pile it on late. They're not really a team that, pinch hits their guys. They kind of let their guys go even into the 8th, 9th inning if they're playing well. So, yeah, love the Braves. I've got them as my second favorite stack behind the Cardinals tonight.
It's always the Braves. I'm so sick of playing the Braves, but it's going to be like that all year. I'm going to keep doing it because they're probably going to the World Series. Title, are you still jamming them in?
I mean, yeah, I like I'm not playing Coors Field today. I haven't got there yet. everyone big shock. I'm eating more chalk at pitcher. The Braves are one of these secondary stacks that can easily match the Braves. High implied total will be half the ownership by the Cardinals or whatever it may be. Like Toronto, like Atlanta. They pretty much, I look at them the same as Toronto right now. DC, you said you'd pick the Braves if you had to pick one.
I would, but that might be the hat speaking. I think it's very, very close. But, you got to lean with your favorite team when it's razor thin. So
for sure.
Yeah.
No, those two look pretty similar ownership. Basically the same implied total. Like the Mets, if I want to take another step down in ownership, the Mets are my favorite right now. I'm looking Toronto like I'm Atlanta. No strong lean. DC said it all. I mean, it's the Braves. They are going to be less owned than Coors though, which sign me up for that route today.
All right, easy enough. We'll continue to stack the Braves, and the Reds are terrible. So on to another game with one of the highest totals, I believe. Don't quote me if I'm wrong. Seattle Mariners and the Cubbies. I know we got one of Nate's dong calls of the days in here somewhere. Cal, right? So DC, is this a game to maybe do a stack of on a team?
Yeah,
gamer?
This has got to be like the earliest Wrigley win game ever. I mean, April 11th, and we've got 75 degrees and winds blowing out to center field. I love it. I love the warm weather. Bring it on. Bring on the scoring. But yeah, this game, the total has been climbing all day long. That is obviously related to the weather in Chicago. It kind of keeps getting better and better, and ball's gonna be flying in Chicago tonight. There's no question about it. These are two offenses that I like. I wouldn't really want to talk anybody off of either offense, to be honest. It's also two pitchers who I do have some faith in. Wesneski, a younger guy for Chicago, and then Chris Flexen. Did kind of like what I saw from him in his first start. So, yeah, it's not really two pitchers that I want to pick on this particular slate, but, I mean, you can't deny 10.5 total here, great hitting weather, two decent offenses, obviously, especially the Mariners. I'll be sticking more to one-offs in this game. For the Mariners, my favorite is Jared Kelenic, who hit an absolute missile yesterday, hit the scoreboard in right field. He's hitting 6, 3K, good cheap outfielder to use. And then from the Cubs, it would be Ian Happ, and then Cody Bellinger would be my favorite too. So the three lefties, I'll mix those guys in probably a little bit, but I'm not going with the full stack of either team here.
I dig that. Tyler, you got any true leans here?
I mean, Wrigley win game. I think ownership gets steamed a little bit. I think Seattle side a little more. Everyone sees the win. If the first pivot you think of, I think people go to this game. So I like Toronto and the Braves more than this spot. I like the Cubs more than Seattle. I think they will be lower owned. Chris Flexen, we've known about him for a while. Doesn't miss many bats. Can allow some fly balls. I'll take that in the win game. Get the ball in the air. Hopefully it flies. On the other side, this Wisnowski kid, it is the Cubs, one of their top prospects. One of the top prospects. He could definitely blow up. Maybe he shits his pants. But I know what Flexen is. This guy, maybe I have a little more belief if he's a top prospect right now. So right, wrong, and different. BC knows a lot more about this guy than I do. I'll take the Cubs lower owned against Flexen, who won't strike many out. Maybe Wisnowski comes out, throws. He's got better stuff. So if you want to play Seattle, sure, it's a win game. Implied for over 5 total. Can't play everyone. I like Braves and Toronto more. And the Cubs side, my favorite bat for the Cubs, definitely Patrick Wisdom. 6-hole, 5K. No one's going to play him. All the pop in the world in this weather. He gets one up there. I think it goes. So he's my favorite.
I like that. Speaking of people shitting their pants, I feel like I need to publicly apologize to Tyler. I crop dusted him so many times at the party. So I'm sorry, bro. Those protein farts be smelling like absolutely terrible. So I just want to publicly apologize for that.
They were bad.
With that, we will go to a game that is kind of the opposite. Not too much of a sexy game. Actually, one of the worst. White Sox, Twins. DC, you got any hidden gems here?
Not playing on the Twins stack today. So, hey, maybe I have to win some cheese, actually. So, yeah. Pretty much staying away from both these offenses entirely. Would definitely prefer the Twins side over the White Sox. Lance Lynn got bombed in his last start. Titles boy, Lance Lynn.
We were on the show. It was the 4-game freaking slate, and the Giants broke the slate.
Yeah. Yeah, that was not a great slate. My guys were at the very left hand side of the standings, not making a run toward the top on that one. But I do expect Lynn to kind of recover and be his normal self. It's pretty rare that he gets nuked like that. It could be something with the pitch clock. He's a bigger dude. Maybe he has trouble recovering in between pitches. I wouldn't shock me, but I'm not willing to, on this particular slate, kind of, go with that over all the other great options. So I'm off the offenses here. But like I said, I really, really do like Pablo Lopez. Might end up being my highest owned pitcher on the slate when it's all said and done. So, yeah, give me Lopez and then pretty much a fade otherwise.
Tato, anything? Are you even playing this game? I know you're not an MME guy, so.
No, definitely not getting to this game. If it beats me, it beats me.
Yeah, so I earlier had someone ask, if you got 4 lines, what are you doing? I feel like we try to be pretty transparent about guys we're talking about for MME reasons or guys we're pretty emphatic about. So just let that be known. Like I got earlier, Josiah Gray, you're not playing Josiah Gray on the main team. So there's your kind of answer to that. And then at the end, you'll get and stuff like that.
And something I'll add, I mean, for baseball, like if you want to be, if you don't want to be very risky, like if you play 4 Brave stacks, all 4 of your lineups are 5-man Brave stacks, know what you're getting into. You're either taking last and getting $0. They're not even last. You might take 25th percentile. GPPs pay out 20%. You're getting 0 back. Whereas, I mean, yeah, if they go off, you can win all the money. However, just know your risk reward that way. I think in baseball, you could very easily, if you play 4 teams, you could have 4 different stacks and how you build those teams out. And I think you're totally fine doing it that way. All it takes, with how top heavy GPPs are nowadays, especially in baseball, with there's so many options, and it's the highest variant sport there is. I think you could very well play 4 different stacks that you like. Only takes 1 to get to first. You take first place. That's all you need nowadays. Yeah. So maybe someone will differ. I think you can play 4 stacks if you really want to.
Honestly, in baseball, like you should almost, if you're playing, like Tyler said, 4 teams and a GPP, you should almost go into the night like planning to lose. It's just really, really hard to get to the top. You make your best lineups you can to try to give yourself a chance at the top heavy upside. But there's just so much variance in the sport that you shouldn't be afraid. You shouldn't make your baseball lineups, GPP lineups, afraid to lose or trying to min cash. It's just the wrong attitude to have. Now, that doesn't mean you can't play chalk, right? If there's good chalk, there's bad chalk. But in terms of just like trying to, lock in some guarantee in baseball, it just doesn't exist. Like the NBA, right? If you kind of play pure chalk projections in the NBA, you got a pretty good chance to min cash, even if you're not threatening the top. Baseball is just a different animal when it comes to that.
Yeah, like if Giannis is 10K and you have 150 lineups, you could put Giannis in all 150 lineups. I don't think you're crazy one bit doing that. Obviously, injury and stuff, you could get 0 back, but projections, you can calculate minutes, usage, all of that. Baseball, Mike Trout can go 0 for 4 any single day. Nobody's surprised. DeGrom can get blown up. Yeah, exactly. DeGrom can get blown up. I mean, look at his first start. He didn't have a good start. So, yeah, I think spreading it out is definitely fine. We did lose Kurt. He is right here, though. Kurt is back for us right in time.
Boom. We go in the next game? Another shitter?
Next game.
Another shitter here. But we got Kansas City, Rangers. I'm guessing it's DC's turn. I don't know. I was just in the shadow realm for like 10 minutes. But, yeah, DC, break it down for us.
Yeah, no Royals for me against DeGrom. Just too many good options on the slate to pick off a one-off against him. Like I said, absolutely willing to do it against Manoah. Not going to do it against DeGrom on this slate. Rangers, they were the big winners last night, right? I think they shipped the GPPs. Had some guys really low owned at the bottom of the lineup. I think Jankowski put up a huge game. They could certainly do it again tonight. I mean, Jordan Lyles is not any good. We know what to expect from him. I think looking at this lineup, yeah, I think you could play pretty much anybody in the Rangers lineup. It's not the team that I'm going to tonight. I'll have some one-off Corey Seager, but won't have a ton from this lineup, honestly. So, yeah, I guess I won't make a case for a team that I'm not personally playing, but another team that I wouldn't really want to talk anybody off the Rangers. Stacking against Jordan Lyles on a pretty good offense absolutely could get there. We just saw it yesterday. I think this is potentially an even better matchup for him. So, Yeah, no problem with the Rangers. Just I'm personally going elsewhere tonight.
Tyler, you got anything here? We know you're playing DeGrom, so we're like anything for the Rangers?
I mean, these lefties, 2-3, Seager low right there, looks really good. And I mean, man, this you can do anything. If you wanted to play Ohtani, you wanted to play DeGrom, you wanted a 5-man Toronto, maybe the top of the order, like you can come down here. Jankowski, mid price 2K. Brad Miller's 2-4. Bubba Thompson's 2-3. Jung's 3-5. Jonah Heim fits the catcher spot at 3K. Like once you get out of 1 through 4, you can easily use this. I stack in tournaments. I 5-3 pretty much every time on DraftKings. If you have a 5-man expensive one, 2 expensive pitchers, I'm fine going 7 through 9 as a cheap 3-man mini stack to make everything work. So yeah, this Texas team can play the top of the order pretty expensive. You can play the bottom of the order. Lyle struggles more against lefties, but he's been around forever. He can get hard. We've seen it multiple times. So yeah, I mean, fading Coors. On my one team, I'm playing one team, the 121 for tournaments. Debating right now, kind of Toronto, Braves, Texas. And man, the more I'm talking about it, the more I think this Texas team is leading it for me. But they're all close.
I like it. So before we get into the next big topic, we had someone say, am I at the right place? No one's begging for likes. So you sacrifice some things having me host, but then you gain the fact that I have CTE and forget to ask for likes. So, you know, it evens out. I didn't say like the button, but I'm saying the word like. So maybe subconsciously, if you all want to go hit that button, I'm just saying. All right.
Cool. Joe, you're lucky. Joe, you're lucky. Kurt's hosting and not me. You would have heard the like button way more.
Hit the like.
Well, you got lucky.
All right, so Coors, guys, what are we doing with it? We know what Tyler's doing, so I don't even want to hear Tyler. We know he's fading, hardcore fade. That's all we got to hear us. DC, are you fading?
I don't know if Tyler's fading Coors.
Tournament, you'll see none of my 121. You will see no Coors today.
Fair enough. Yeah, big T.
Cash games, different perspective. You'll see some Coors in my lineups.
Big G was chirping me last time Freeland pitched. I was on going against him. He apparently thinks Freeland is God's gift to pitching. I disagree with the big dog, so I will have plenty of Cardinals tonight. I think this is probably the best hitting lineup in baseball against left-handed pitching. 80 degrees here in Denver. I mean, Goldschmidt, Arenado, just nuke lefties. You put him in Coors Field. Freeland can't miss bats. He doesn't get any strikeouts. I get that he survives Coors maybe better than most. But there's a reason the Cardinals have a team total approaching 7 runs in this game. And I think they're going to do damage here. I will say the 2 guys at the bottom of the lineup, Juan Yepes and Taylor Motter, I would expect them to be pinch hit for when Colorado inevitably brings in a right-handed pitcher after Freeland. So those guys won't be on my lineup, but specifically 2 through 7, I think are safe to play this entire game. All of those guys crush lefties: Edman, Goldschmidt, Arenado, Contreras, O'Neill, Walker. They're not even that expensive. Obviously, they're going to be very, very popular. I understand that point. And listen, if you want to go a different direction, plenty of ways to go. We've talked about a lot of offenses you can have, but I still think the Cardinals are going to do damage here. And I'll be over the field on the Cardinals tonight myself. I'll be waiting for the big T chirp on Twitter when Freeland holds him to 3 runs over 6 innings or something like that. But hey, I can just flip over to my Timberwolves getting owned by LeBron James in the playoff game, and make it a true DC night. So I'm on the Cardinals. The Rockies side, I like a lot too. Miles Michaelis has been crushed in his few outings in Coors. I think he's got like 14 total innings, given up 20 earned runs. And if you look at his stuff, right, his fastball is terrible. It's like 90 miles per hour, straight as an arrow. He survives kind of in Busch Stadium, right, with the good defense behind him and, really far fences, kind of tough to hit home runs. But he doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. And his next best pitch is like a big looping, slow breaking ball. And that's exactly what doesn't work in Coors Field. It flattens out. And Michaelis hasn't looked super great to start the year anyway. you look at the Rockies lineup, right? It is somewhat uninspiring. I get that part of it, but we saw last night they put up a bunch of runs against the Cardinals, and they just get the job done when they're at home. I think they'll put up runs in this game too. So yeah, I love both sides. Can game stack it up, and yeah, I'm expecting fireworks at Coors Field tonight. I know it's chalky, but I'll be eating some chalk here with my 2% Josiah Gray, maybe to balance it out a little bit.
It's like you've said, chalk is a little bit different animal in baseball. So I get it, but I won't be playing it.
I mean, I'm certainly not always going to be on Coors Field, and I'm absolutely willing to fade chalk, but I do really like this game for offense.
Yeah, I agree. Can't hate it. I'm going a different path, but come on.
Yeah.
So many cases for it. Can't talk anyone off of it. Next game, you've been attacking the shit out of this all year, DC. The Nats, the poor Nats. Title, have you been doing the same, and will you be doing that tonight with these Angels hitters?
Well, I mean, I've played more Nats than I'll probably play the rest of the year because they just got off of Coors Field. Stone Garrett, Alex Call, Lane Thomas. Yeah, I was definitely playing some Nats. Not playing any Nats today against Ohtani. And as far as the Angels, they're going to get some ownership. DC talked up Josiah Gray. I have enough teams that I already like, the Mets, the Braves, Toronto, Cubs. I don't need to add another one if DC's making a case for a 1% owned pitcher. So nothing for this game for me.
Easy does it, DC. You staying with it or you getting off?
Yeah, I'm not playing the Nationals. Ohtani just too good. No interest there. But yeah, I could tell, I said 1 to 5% for Josiah Gray, made my case for him earlier in the show. And I don't think I saw anybody in chat be like, oh yeah, I'll jump on the Josiah Gray train, which normally I've got some faithful believers in the chat that are willing to ride with me. But yeah, just Kurt. But what that did is confirm my beliefs that absolutely nobody is playing Josiah Gray. We might see a point, 0 point something on Josiah Gray tonight. I think it's at least possible. Maybe if this was a premium show, there'll be some believers that jump on board on the free show play. But probably foolish, but I'm talking myself more and more into Josiah Gray. They're an option.
Let's go.
Getting more Cardinals, more Josiah Gray, and we'll see what happens. But I think he can get strikeouts here. I really do. So we'll see. But I'm going to play a significant amount of Josiah Gray for sure.
All right. Well,
he might end up in at this point. We'll see if I have another cocktail before lock, and then
you're gonna need a couple more. Your stones are gonna have to grow a little longer for you to do that. I don't know about it. I'd be surprised.
Well, obviously, no Angels then. So some of the other places you can go. I talked about it earlier. Next game, we got Brewers, Diamondbacks, Corbin Burns. Is he eventually going to get it right? I don't know. Does that mean you're all going to play some Diamondbacks? Maybe title?
I ain't picking on Corbin Burns. As bad as he's looked for Corbin Burns himself to start the year, I can't make a case to pick against him on a 10-game slate when we have a lot of good options. And then go to the other side. I don't think Merrill Kelly's great, but I really don't think this Brewers lineup's really great either. There's just other spots I'd rather get to. Yeah, cross off some games. This is a game I like. A lot of games earlier. A lot of these late West Coast games don't like as much, so nothing for me.
Yeah, like on a giant slate like this, you're all gonna just have games where you don't even have to even think about it. Even if you're doing like 10, 15 lineups, still gonna be cases like that. So DC, do you have anything for us?
Corbin Burns, his first 2 starts have been rough. And, for a lot of these pitchers, you get 2 bad starts, these aces, so-called aces, you get 2 bad starts. Usually if you look under the hood, it's kind of bad luck, right? And they're still missing bats. They're just not getting the strikeouts. They're getting the foul tip that the catcher can't catch. And it's just kind of a string of bad luck. But man, even Burns' underlying metrics, he's not getting any swings and misses right now. They look like, when I kind of dug into Corbin Burns, if he didn't have the name he has and the past success he has, he would be a pitcher to pick on based on those first 2 games. I do expect him, obviously, to kind of turn it around, but a couple things going on this year. One, they are enforcing the sticky stuff again, and he's a guy who gets massive spin rates. Those are down a little bit for Corbin Burns. Velocity's down a little bit. And he is kind of a max effort guy who has some like pretty crazy stuff when he's on his game, but all that is down a little bit. Could be affected by the pitch clock too, and not as much time between pitches. So then there's the thing, I don't know if you guys saw he went to arbitration with the Brewers.
I was gonna bring that up. I wonder if the Brewers actually screwed him. I mean,
they like trashed him in front of him for like a difference of I think it was like $1 million or something like that.
I think it was like $700K or something. Yeah. The Packers organization and the Brewers. This is what I have to freaking deal with. These clowns up top.
So you put all that stuff together, right? Like really bad results, really bad underlying results, lower velocity, lower spin rate, the arbitration bullshit, and you start to wonder. Maybe if we're really that low on Corbin Burns, maybe this could be the 1% stack, right? And this is a team that has a ton of upside, running wild on the bases. Guys like Rojas, Corbin Carroll, you can run on Corbin Burns a little bit. They've got some power in the middle of that lineup. Nobody's going to play them. And, I mean, honestly, a little bit of a disrespectful total that kind of backs up what we're thinking, right? What would this total have been against Corbin Burns 2 years ago in a Cy Young season? Below 3, for sure. It's sitting over 4 right now. So it does seem like the market is kind of out on Corbin Burns too. I don't know. If you're playing a bunch of lineups, I don't think it's crazy to throw in a D-back stack or two. I wouldn't go crazy with it. I don't think I would do it as my only team if you're a single lineup person. But I won't be shocked if Corbin Burns gets crushed here. It really wouldn't shock me at all. And if it wouldn't shock you for a 1% owned stack, probably means it's a pretty good deep tournament play. So, yeah, I don't know if I'll get to it myself, but you can definitely make the case for the D-backs here. Other side of the ball, I think guys like Winker and Rowdy Tellez are pretty good one-offs. Garrett Mitchell too, but not going crazy with the Brewers stack against Merrill Kelly.
Garrett Mitchell, I was going to bring – if you one-offed anyone, he's a star.
I love Garrett Mitchell. Yep, I'm in.
You could do like a little 3-man stack with him too, with like chalk. Do like 5 chalk Cardinals, and then do like the 3-man stack for Diamondbacks.
That's one reason why I kind of haven't moved off the Cardinal stack. Is there's so many ways to get really, really low-owned guys, right? Like $3,100 Corbin Carroll. I mean, people aren't even going to play him, but he's got huge upside, power, speed against a pitcher who kind of seems like they're faltering. So there are definitely ways to get different if you do want to play the chalk, which I do like the popular pitchers and I like the Cardinals. So I do got to find ways to get a little different in the rest of my spots. The D-backs seem like a good way to do it.
All right, guys, the last game of the night. If you want to hit the like button, awesome. If you don't, then fuck off, I guess. I don't care. Dodgers, Giants, West Coast matchup, little Cali matchup. Dodgers be semi-popular, but like Tyler said, it's really just the 2 chalky bats, and that's it. But where are we going here? Are there any sneaks for this little late hammer? I love having late hammers in baseball. It's the best. Sometimes it's hard to do. What are you doing, Tyler?
Yeah, these late night hammers, I usually don't have too many until we're in the heart of summer. Just the weather. It's 55 degrees in San Francisco. Alex Wood, I don't think is a terrible pitcher. Now, this game's going to be low-owned. You'll get Dodgers low-owned. They're expensive. You'll get Giants low-owned, no doubt. But, man, Cubs, Mets. Mets are going to be very low. I think if I had to pick one really low-owned stack right now, Mets are where I'd go. But, Toronto, the Braves, the Cubs, Seattle, DC's talking about Arizona. There's enough teams that are in the low 10, 9, 8, something like that, where, 3% owned Dodger stack or 8, 9% owned Braves stack. I'll take the 8 or 9% owned Braves stack. Nicer weather. I think what's his nuts is pretty decent. Alex Wood. So I ain't getting to this game. I'll live and I'll play these earlier games with better weather.
You can always hodl. I mean, I usually never really.
You said what?
I like having the late hammer, but it seems like I always have just the hodl position. And you can
it's
hodl
usually
on baseball,
midsummer for me. I mean, 55, it just doesn't. The hitting conditions just aren't as good as they are in other parts of the country usually. So I'm a big weather park guy. Don't play too many places or teams in San Fran.
DC, what's the late hammer sneak? We need it. We need air.
Yeah, I'm not going to have much offense from this game. Like I said, I do like Dustin May as a super low-owned guy who I think has some pretty decent upside against the Giants. But such good hitting spots, so many bad pitchers that we want to target on the slate in general. Alex Wood, I'll be surprised if he gets absolutely blown up. I think if I was going to play Dodgers, it would probably be the full stack against Wood. It's just kind of tough to hit multiple home runs. And so you kind of need guys to string together hits. The Dodgers obviously have enough talent to do it. They've got a pretty high team total for a reason, but I'm not going to end up here myself. And I don't like this game for one-offs in particular. So, yeah, won't have much in this game. Dustin may share or two, but that's about it.
All right, well, we've reached the conclusion. But first, before we get into I guess we're going to do favorite stacks and then one dawn call. I mean, we know what the favorite pitchers are. I feel like we only got to talk about that. But favorite stack, favorite hitter. Before we do that, though, I want to tell you what we got going on with the site, guys. All Sports One price. 15% off. Use the promo code Title15, Kurt15, Draft Cheat 15 or DC 15. I don't know what it is.
DC 15, yeah.
DC 15. All right, you guys. All Sports One price. I didn't realize how much MLB content we had until the other day. I went through it, every single portion of it, and it's insane how much you get. Like you get All Sports One price, but just MLB. It's like 5 different. I mean, you get the playbook, the cores, the DC's breakdown, like player pools. You just get so much. Per dollar, it's the best deal in the business, hands down. Like I said, promo code Title15 if you want it, Kurt15 or DC15. Now, let's get into the plays of the day. I'm going to go first because I don't want Tyler to steal mine. Mine will be the Toronto Blue Jays favorite stack. Gavin Biggio, birthday call. Oh, nice. Thank you. Gavin Biggio. Someone freaking stole it in the chat earlier, but sorry. I had it first. I had it this morning. Love playing the guy. Love Toronto. Gavin Biggio, birthday home run. Who wants to go next? Tyler, DC? Who wants to go last?
I'll take it. We'll save DC for last for the people.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the SO play of the day. I'm considering multiple stacks, but my favorite individual play on the slate, Patrick Wisdom in the 6 hole at 5K. No one's going to play him, even in Cub stacks. That 5K price tag in the 6 hole, people do like to ignore. Can play him at third base, get a pivot from Arenado. I think Wisdom goes deep. Gets a hold of one in this weather. So Patrick Wisdom, the SO play of the day.
Boom. DC, give us the goods.
Mom's basement play of the day.
Mom's basement play of the day. We'll give 2 for the people. I like to give a pitcher and a hitter. I think these 2 will combine for less than 5% ownership. I've talked about it a few times now. I'm gonna trust my gut numbers, whatever you want to say. And Josiah Gray, I think, is gonna deliver us a late night hammer performance at pitcher at maybe less than 1% ownership. And then I like picking a guy off oftentimes against a chalk pitcher that I'm not playing. Tonight, that pitcher is Alek Manoah. Give me Akil Baddoo hitting leadoff for the Tigers, 3,500. And I think he's going to get first blood tonight. First batter on the slate. And get us a nice 14 spot, kick off the night well, only to be burned to the ground by Josiah Gray, -12 later on in the night. So Josiah Gray, Akil Baddoo, the 2 Mom's Basement plays of the day.
Oh, that's spicy. I like that. Guys, thank you for watching. Appreciate you putting up with me and for getting these awesome takes from DC and Title. So for those 2, for Title, for DC, I'm Kurt. Title, hit the button. Get us out of here.